Om Sai Ram. Offering at the Divine Lotus Feet. We start the chapter number 7 from your PUC 2 Sociology book. This will be the last chapter for this term. And we begin with the 7th chapter, which is social movement. So, what are we going to study in this chapter? What is a social movement? What are the components of a social movement? This will be by the eminent sociologist M.S.A. Rao. Then types of social movements, again by M.S.A. Rao. Then what are the essential elements of a social movement? This will be the Western sociologist Bertox. Then types of social movements, which are two: inclusivist and exclusivist. And then at the end of this part, we'll be discussing Kathleen Goff's detailed account of the examples, 5 types of peasant movements in India. So let's begin. What is a social movement? Social movements emerge as the manifestation of collective discontent against the established social, economic and political orders. So they emerge. Social movements are basically the agitations, the way people come together on the streets and make their voices heard. Either they are demanding for something to be added, or they are demanding something to be stopped from coming into the picture. So they show their discontent, that they are not happy, and it is a collective activity. That means many people come together. You must have seen women coming out on the streets shouting slogans against gender bias, or some nations, some small parts of a region coming out demanding for a separate nation for themselves. Those are the examples of social movements. They are basically voicing their protest or showing their discontent, unhappiness over established social, economic or political orders. So it can be an order by a high court or the Supreme Court against some judge, against some verdict or judgment. People may take to the streets and they show their discontent, that they are not happy with this. So this is just an example of what is a social movement. Here are the definitions. Bloomer says social movements are collective enterprises to establish a new social order in life. What is the purpose of these movements? They want to create a new social order. Something new they want to create, or something new they want to stop from coming. Paul Wilkison says a social movement is an organized endeavor. It's an organized, very well thought of, people coming together in a very organized way to bring about or to resist large scale changes, either to bring about the change or to resist. Resist meaning to stop. In the social order by non-institutionalized means. Non-institutionalized means would mean that these kind of movements are not backed up, are not supported by the Supreme Court of India or by the law, but still the Supreme Court of India gives the right to expression, gives the right to freedom of speech, because of which these movements are allowed to a great extent, but they are not allowed to go beyond the control. Violence and acts of looting, arsoning, these things will not be allowed. Then M.S.A. Rao says, according to what is a social movement, it is an organized attempt on the part of a section of a society, one section of the society, to bring about either partial or total changes in the society through collective mobilization and an ideology. Ideology meaning they have an idea about something and they think that only is the correct idea. So they want to bring that idea into the society. What are the components of social movements? This is by M.S.A. Rao again. So he says that in his book Social Movements in India, he says what will tell you that it is a social movement? Three things will tell you. Then only, if three things are present, then only we can say it is a social movement. What are these three things? First is ideology. You have to have one broad frame of action and collective mobilization. That is, people are mobilized, many people come together. Collective mobilization meaning many people are coming together in the social movement and legitimacy to the process of interest articulation and organized collective action. So they want interest articulation meaning they are saying, they are talking about what is the idea of their interest. What is their idea? So they are articulating it, they are talking about it. And organized collective action. Their action is also organized and it is a collective action. That means it's a group action. So basically, social movement should have one ideology. For example, women movements coming together asking for, give them their property rights. Just an example. It is their idea about gender equality, or give us equal pay, gender equality. So this is their ideology. So many women will come together and they will raise their voice on this issue. It is a collective mobilization. What is the meaning? That means many women will come together, many people or whosoever is concerned with this will come together. It's a social movement widely shaped by the nature of collective mobilization. It may be radical meaning very fast. It is very sudden. Non-institutionalized meaning it is not supported by the law. And then spontaneous and large scale, etc. It can be spontaneous. That means just there only, at that point only. And then large scale. It is at a very grand scale. That means many people are involved in it. Then the third component of this is leadership and organization. These are closely linked to the collective mobilization. Many people are there. Those are there in the they are actually very basic to bring the mobs together. For example, when freedom movement was there, you remember, that is National Freedom Movement. Its name was movement. That is also, National Freedom Movement is also an example of a social movement. So then you can have a charismatic figure of a democratically elected one. So who were the charismatic figures? That means somebody who's having a charisma in their personality. People are drawn towards them. People listen to them. And people will do whatever they are saying. We also follow our guru like this. So people also, in the large interest of the public masses, they also have a charismatic leadership. So in the national movement, the charismatic leadership was given by Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Lala Lajpat Rai, these people. So these three things will be there. They will be called the components of social movement. These three things have to be there in order for it to be called a social movement. I hope you understood. It's a picture of a social movement. You see how many people have come to the streets, and it looks like a women's issue only, and they look like rural women. So it has to be some related to some, and there are some men also at the back. So it looks like a peasant movement in India. And look at their slogans and look at their flags. So their flags and slogans will always say something what they want, their demands. Some new coinage meaning, some terms are there, some words are there of which you should know the meaning. Issues of values, culture, subjectivity, idealism, morality, identity, empowerment, etc. have got influence today. So these are the new areas on which there are social movements. There are issues of values. So old values are being questioned, new values are being introduced. Some cultural part they want to cut off and they want to add something new. Subjectivity, that means your own emotional or personal opinion or feeling about something. Then idealism, that means what a particular idea you have about a thing to be in its perfect form. Morality, identity, empowerment, they have got influence today. Then Bertek says that subjectivity and idealisms are essential elements of a social movement. That means subjectivity meaning whatever is the reason for the movement, you should have a feeling towards it. You should have an individual feeling towards it, and you have to have a personal opinion towards it. Then only you will be joining that particular movement. And you are looking for some great change, egalitarian, which is called idealism. These are closely attached to the process of collective mobilization and new identity formation. So what happens when this movement happens? Through collective mobilization, new identity gets formed. You get a new identity. A change comes. What are the types of social movements? This is also according to M.S.A. Rao. So you have reform movements. It brings about partial changes in the value paradigm of a society. So you must have seen in the history, there were many reform movements and many reformists were there who worked for the country, and they tried to bring about many changes in the prevalent social system. Sati system was one of those systems. Ram Mohan Roy and Annie Besant, all those people were, they belonged to reform movements. They tried to create change in the society through a new ideology. Then revolutionary movements. This is a sudden change. It brings about radical changes. That means very sudden changes in the totality of social and cultural systems of the society characterized by conflict and violence. So there will be conflict and violence, and there will be revolutionary movements. For example, when this Mandal Commission was to be established or was to be accepted in the Constitution of India, there were many revolutionary movements to bring it, and there were other movements also to stop it. And then there are transformative movements. It aims at affecting middle level structural changes to bring changes in the distribution of power, privileges, rights and resources. So basically they create awareness amongst the people. These are called transformative movements. So any new change comes, it will be taken, it will be brought about by a kind of a movement. So if you can take example of in today's time also, when there is this epidemic, so it's like a movement only throughout our country and the world, movement of awareness, where everywhere you will see the slogans, the posters, and people also correcting each other about taking precautions, talking to each other with maintaining social distance and having the masks, washing their hands again and again. So these are also movements, because it's a collective venture. People are involved collectively. They are all together, and it is going to bring about a transformation in the society, that people will take care of themselves and of each other also. So I hope you understood. These three are the types of movements: reform, revolutionary and transformative. Okay, they can be categorized into two types also, which are inclusivist movements and exclusivist movements. What are they? As the name suggests, inclusivist would mean include. These people want to be included into the system. The system is existing, they want themselves. For example, women's movement. They are fighting for their identity, equality, dignity and social justice. For example, women and Dalits of India belong to this type of inclusivist movements. Again, examples are there: fair price for their agricultural produce, cheaper rate for cost of chemical manure, and more reasonable cost of electrical power, etc. belong to this type of movement. So these are farmer movements. These are also inclusivist movements, because they are not creating a change. They don't want to take anything away from anybody, but they just want to draw some attention to their needs. They require certain things and they are not being given. So they want to draw the government's attention to their needs, for which they are doing these kind of movements. Most of the NSMs meaning National Socialist movements, struggle for social reconstruction of society, ensures equality and social justice for all. So these kind of organizations also in India and outside keep coming up, which talk about equality and social justice for all. So they talk of reconstruction of a society on the lines of socialism. And then these actually they aim at social structural anomalies. Anomalies meaning something which is not good in the society, something which is abnormal in the society, such as discrimination of the humans on the basis of caste, religion, race, and even gender. So these movements are non-radical. That means they are not very violent movements. They don't want sudden change. Non-separatists, that means they don't want to separate from the main movement. They don't want to separate from the nation or from anything. They are not demanding for a separate region for themselves. They are non-separatist movements and non-autonomist. That means they don't want their own autonomy. They want to be under the government and under the present law. The basic idea is that they want equality and they want certain their needs to be paid attention to. So these are the inclusivist movements. Second type is the exclusivist movements. These are the radical types of movements, and they develop the conception of the other and hold them responsible for their miseries. These are more violent kind of movements, separatist movements, and they split the population into we and they. Okay, so if you look at India's partition, it can be probably put into this category of exclusivist movement at the time of India's independence, when India was divided into two nations, India, Bharat and Pakistan. So this is how the population was split into we and they on the basis of religion. Just an example I gave you. Okay. Basically, they give a call to the community to rise in defense to the social, economic and cultural identity. So these are basically separatist movements. All these many northeastern states, they over a period of time they have been demanding for a separate region for themselves. Even you see, earlier some parts of India were asking for separating from the mainstream. So these were the exclusivist movements. Example they have given is the sub-nationalist mobilization in the state of Assam with the slogan that Assam is for Assamese. So this is what? They are making boundaries amongst people. And they are saying that our land belongs only to us. No new people should come. So it is exclusively for us, not for anybody. So that is called exclusivist movement. Gorkhaland in West Bengal and Uttarakhand in Uttar Pradesh illustrates the character of the exclusivist movements. Freedom movement as a social movement. So we already discussed with you. So what basically was there? So the means were boycotts, strikes, secret preparations of weapons and combat troops, and these were violent movements, which was he saw three views. Antonio Gramsci, he saw three views in this case, war of the movement. What were the three movements? Boycotts. So Mahatma Gandhi followed mainly this boycott method. Strikes, war of position, that we will not participate in whatever you are doing. And then secret preparations of weapons and combat troops, Subhash Chandra Bose. Just an example I am trying to give you. So these are also movements, and according to Bipin Chandra, freedom movement derived its entire force from the militancy and the spirit of self-sacrifice of the masses. So people rose up to violent means, and also they sacrificed their own personal self for bringing about a change in the larger part of the society. However, Gandhi's passive resistance is said to be the war of the movement, which is the war of position in another situation, and also an underground warfare if looked from another angle. It combined all the three methods. So Gandhi's passive resistance combined boycotts, strikes, and not so much of warfare, because Gandhi always advocated the way of non-violence. So freedom has been taken as a social movement. Now we come to the farmers or agrarian or peasant type movement, and it was given by a great anthropologist, Kathleen Goff, who's from Canada, and she studied the Indian system during the British time, and she came out with various types, with 5 types of peasant movements. These are restorative rebellion, rebellion meaning it's a protest, religious movements, social banditry, terrorist vengeance, and mass insurrection. So, what are they? Restorative rebellion. So, what is the meaning of restorative? These are aimed at restoration of old system in place of current system. For example, Santhal tribal agitation against the British in the year 1855. So they tried to restore their own tribal rights on their lands, their way of living, and the British were invading their privacy. They were getting into their lives, and these tribals wanted the old system to be restored back to them. That is, the old system is to be given back to them. For that, there was a rebellion. So that is when you want the old thing to come back into your life. That is called restorative rebellion, as given by Kathleen Goff. Second one is religious movements. This we keep seeing all around us, even nowadays. These are based on the belief that their efforts would bring a golden period and a charismatic leader will solve their misery. These movements are also called millennium movements or messianic movements, some messiah. Stephen Fuchs states that more than 50% of the peasant movements in India are religious movements. For examples, Kerala's Mappilli agitation from 1836 to 1921. Just an example of a religious movement. Social banditry. So what is social banditry? It is a social crime of lower class resistance which involves behavior characterized by law as it is like illegal but supported by wider society, basically peasant society being moral or acceptable. So looting the rich landlords and distributing the wealth amongst the poor. So this is generally kind of a looting by the lower class peasants or the agriculturists. Dacoity by Narasimha Reddy and his team in Kurnool. So one example of this social banditry. Then you have terrorist vengeance. Vengeance is come from the word revenge. That means to settling the score with someone who has not been kind to you in the past. You too don't be kind with them. It is like that, revenge. So it is again a violent means. Revenge is the sole motive of such movements. These movements involves elimination of individuals who are thought as enemies. So all these terrorists activities that happened in India, and with God's grace not so much these days in the world, and I hope the world is changing for good, but all these terrorist movements that happened were against one particular community, religious community over the other, or trying to establish their dominance in the world in the name of religion. So what is their way? They eliminate the people who don't belong. They kill the people who don't belong to their religion or their community. So you can see how low way of thinking or unintelligent way of thinking this can be. Then corrupt government officials and feudal lords are victims of such movements. So the government officials who have certain laws in their hands, and feudal lords, that is the zamindars and the class enterprises, they are the victims of such movements. Then you have mass insurrection. So it is basically a rebellion or uprising or insurrection. It is a refusal of obedience of an order. This is an organized opposition to an authority. So these are triggered by dissatisfaction over long pending issues. Initially, dissent is expressed by shouting slogans, strikes, boycott, etc. And then it may take into mass destruction. And you can see that this keeps happening in India, especially in metropolitan cities where the people have to show their discontent with any of the government's order, and they take to the streets, they burn the buses, and they stop the roads and the traffic, and they harass people. So this is an example of mass insurrection. So with that we end this chapter. Now you have to answer these questions on the basis of what we studied today. The first question is, what do you understand by a social movement? Give any one definition of a social movement. So basically describe first what you have understood by a social movement, and then give one definition also. Then give the essential components of a social movement as given by M.S.A. Rao. So you have to give those 3 points which are there, which can call a movement a movement. And then mention the types of movements by M.S.A. Rao, again those 3 types. What according to Bertox is essential for a social movement? That you find again, and you write the answer to this question. What are the exclusive and inclusivist and exclusivist movements? Give 2 examples of each. We have discussed many examples with you. You can give 2 for each. Name the 5 types of peasant movements and an example of those as given by Kathleen Goff. So the last part of this part where we did 5 types of peasant movements. Give examples also. So with that we end. Om Sai Ram. Thank you.